The joint family dinner was Theodore's idea. He framed it as a celebration, a proper, formal introduction of our two families before the wedding sealed everything together. He chose the venue himself, a prestigious, high-end restaurant on Fifth Avenue, overlooking Central Park, the kind of establishment where every dish comes described in 2 sentences of elegant text on a hand-printed card. The kind of place where you make a reservation 6 weeks in advance, and even then they ask for references. It was late October. The city had finally surrendered to autumn. The leaves in Central Park were gold and red, and there was a cold, fine drizzle coating the glass of every cab window as we rode uptown that evening. My parents rode with me and my sister. Theodore's family arrived separately in a hired car. My family was dressed beautifully. My mother in her favorite deep burgundy dress, my father in a well-pressed charcoal suit. My younger sister wore a navy blue wrap dress that she had agonized over for 2 weeks. We all felt a quiet, hopeful nervousness, the kind you feel before something important begins. Theodore had reserved the family corner at the very back of the restaurant. It was a semi-private alcove with a long mahogany table, 10 velvet-cushioned chairs for the family members, and, this detail mattered, though none of us understood how much yet, 2 additional, slightly smaller chairs positioned at the far end of the table for his mother's 2 prized French bulldogs, Cosmo and Gable. The dogs were impeccably groomed and sat in their chairs as though they had been to more formal dinners than most humans. His mother introduced them to my mother with the same warmth she used to introduce his brother. The dinner started beautifully. His parents were polished, reserved, and gracious in that old money, careful with compliments way that could mean either deep warmth or complete indifference depending on how you read it. His younger brother was genuinely charming and spent 20 minutes talking enthusiastically with my sister about architecture. His mother complimented my dress twice. His father shook my father's hand with both of his and said he had heard wonderful things. My mother was radiant. She was laughing, contributing stories, asking thoughtful questions. She was exactly the woman I spent my whole life watching command every room she entered. Warm, genuine, and completely magnetic. I was so proud of her sitting there. Here's the thing about my mother's peanut allergy. It is severe, not the kind that causes mild discomfort, the anaphylactic kind. The kind that closes airways, swells the throat, and can stop a person's heart if untreated within minutes. She has managed it her whole life with military precision. She always carries 2 EpiPens. She always calls ahead to restaurants. She had, in fact, called this restaurant 2 days before the dinner. What she did not know, what none of us knew, was that our waiter that evening had misread the table notes during the course handoff. My father had specifically requested a butternut squash starter soup with a small garnish of crushed peanuts, because he loves the texture contrast. My mother had requested the same soup, no garnish, no peanuts, completely separate preparation. The bowls arrived together on a large tray. They were set down in the wrong order. My mother picked up her spoon. She was mid-sentence telling a story about the early years of her marriage, making Theodore's mother laugh. She took 3 spoonfuls of soup, and then she stopped talking. The color left her face so quickly, it was like watching a candle get blown out. Her hand went to her throat. Her lips were visibly swelling, turning that terrifying, discolored purple that I had only ever seen once before in my life and had prayed never to see again. My father saw it first. He was on his feet before anyone else processed what was happening. He shouted for someone to call 911. My sister dropped to her knees beside my mother's chair, pulling open her evening bag, searching frantically for the EpiPen. My mother's hands were shaking. She was gasping, that silent, desperate gasping of a throat that is shutting down. I grabbed her hands. I held them tight. I looked her in the eye and kept talking to her. Calm, steady words that I do not even remember now because my brain was running purely on adrenaline and terror. I told her to stay with me. I told her help was coming. I told her she was okay.
The restaurant erupted. Other diners pushed back from nearby tables. A manager appeared. Someone was dialing emergency services. The French bulldog started barking at the far end of the table. I looked up for Theodore. He was standing behind his chair. He had not moved to help. He had not reached for water or ice. He had not spoken a single word. He was standing with his hands at his sides, looking at the scene in front of him with an expression that I can only describe as clinical, cold, and deeply disgusted. Like a man watching something unpleasant happen at someone else's table in a restaurant he was forced to enter. Then he reached down, buttoned the front of his tailored navy suit jacket, adjusted his shirt cuff with one practiced tug, and walked quietly out of the restaurant toward the parking lot. He just left. The ambulance arrived within 7 minutes. The EMTs were extraordinary, fast, efficient, and calm. My mother was stabilized on the scene and then rushed to the nearest emergency room. My father and I climbed into the ambulance with her. My sister followed in a cab. Theodore's family gathered their coats and departed for their mansion in Westchester without a single phone call, a single message, or a single word to any of us.
We sat in that hospital waiting room until 5 a.m. Bright fluorescent lights, cheap plastic chairs, and the smell of antiseptic and burnt coffee. My father held my mother's hand for hours while the doctors monitored her and brought her down from the attack. By the time she was discharged, she was exhausted, shaken, and trying to make jokes to make us feel better, because that is the kind of woman my mother is. Theodore did not come to the hospital. He did not text, he did not call, he sent nothing. Not one word. My mother survived. Theodore never came to the hospital. No call, no text, not one word. But what I found the next afternoon in his car, in his own voice, on his own Bluetooth system, that changed absolutely everything. Episode 3 is coming. I hit record. You are not ready for what he said. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss it.